Good evening, friends. I am so excited to be here again. After not being here for so long, it feels really, really good to get into a rhythm with all of you. My name is ill-esha, and you are watching ILBC. That's ill-BC TV, the International Live Beat Challenge. My usual co-host, Natty, he's not feeling so well, but I think he's hanging around in the chat, so he'll still be giving you some feedback, I'm sure, or at least saying hello and giving hugs. But we have a very special guest this week, the amazing IDN. What is up?
Hello. I'm doing good. How are you, ill-esha?
I'm doing super, super good, and it's good to have you back. Do you want to give a little brief intro to people who may not know who you are?
Sure. I am an artist. I'm a producer based in Los Angeles. Been making music for around 10 years now. Let's see. I released my first album last year. I'm working on like an instrumental record right now. Fun doing live shows and making graphics and live visuals and all that. So I'm excited to give some feedback today.
Wicked. Maybe we'll even get to hear some of your new stuff. I always love to hear what the guest artist has been up to. So first, let's just get started. We have Squiggly Blips, and the song feedback, mostly just looking for general feedback. Suggestions of any kind are welcome. Cool. Let's check it out.
Cool.
Okay. So we're starting it off with Squiggly Blips. With I guess this is happy hardcore. What would you say? I think so.
Yeah, definitely in that rave, happy hardcore area for sure.
Yeah. I mean, so why don't you go first, dear guest?
All right. The energy is there. I think the drums sound pretty great on here. I think maybe the mix of the instruments could be thought about a little more intentionally each section, maybe. And I'd say, I don't know, with happy hardcore, it's sounding pretty happy hardcore to me, so it's not far off. I think maybe some of the melodies could be edited down just a little tiny bit in taking out a note here or there, leaving space for some of these notes to breathe a little bit more. But otherwise, I think only other thing I would say is maybe like changing up the timbre of some of the sounds that you have throughout the song so that we're not getting like the same piano song in the last section as we are in the first section. It changes a little bit over time. But it does sound like a rave track. I don't know. What do you think, Alicia?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a rave track, but for me, the snare was bugging me. I felt like the snare could have just tightened up a lot more. It was very like sloshy, like when you have galoshes, gum boots. I don't know what you call them in your country, but rain boots, and you're sloshing through some wet snow. The snare kind of gave me that whoosh feeling, and I think the general shape of it is appropriate for the style, but I just think maybe you can do a little bit of tightening on it because happy hardcore it's fast, and the faster you have, the less space you have in between the beats, and so the elements that you have room for have to be really tightly blended together. And I think that's what you were touching on when you said like different, like tying together the tones and everything. So I would just kind of work on the snare and work on the drums and get your framework really solid. And then, like Aiden said, I would kind of vary the timbre a little bit because, yeah, it does get like it's simple sounds and that is the style, but you can evolve them. You can do some really simple, like long period of time edits and stuff that will make it a little bit more exciting. But yeah, I would go and add, some of that ear candy.
Woo! That is amazing. I love that.
Starting it off early. Cool. All right. And we miss you, Natty. We hope you feel better soon. Shouts out. Next up, we have Sam Hennessy. Okay. And a track, it's just a demo and feedback, song structure, and ideas of how to make it flow better, but all ideas welcome. All right. So we're focusing on the flow, and this is Sam. All right. So this is super nice, chill vibes. I'm enjoying this, but I do agree. The biggest thing I have to say is agreeing with reality check music that some of these things are kind of out of tune with each other, and there's definitely a place for intentional dissonance. But in this case, I think you have a lot of melodic elements that are super melodic, but they need to be in key with each other for that thing. So that would be the first thing I think that would improve the flow. Second, everything seems to be kind of in like different spaces and different finishes, you know? Like you have a lot of cool elements. I really like them, but they need to glue together a bit more. And sometimes you can achieve this by something as simple as using like sends, you know, like have a nice sort of really light reverb that you apply to a lot of things. Like think about the old wisdom of recording where just the simplest way to glue together a track was to make people sound like they're in the same room. Obviously with electronic music, you do a lot of other effects and processing and delays and stuff like that, but there is still a place for that kind of glue. So I think that putting things in key and then also balancing the space. There was one point where I heard this like weird ride cymbal thing, and it just seemed to come out of nowhere, and it was sort of like on one side, and it was a little bit out of time, and I was just like, what happened there? Did you hear that? I don't know. There was a lot
I
of
thought
things.
that was a piece of the atmosphere. I thought that was like part of the atmosphere track in the back.
Yeah.
Like some subway car opening or something like that.
Huh. Maybe it was, but it was a little bit like it stuck out to me. I think it could have been like blended in. How did you feel about that?
I agree with you. I think that I like a lot of the elements, but with like the reverbs especially and kind of like the textures of the sounds, like the snare was really filtered, but then you had like very wide open little pluck synths. So I think marrying those together in at least like the filter cutoff or marrying them with reverb, like Alicia said with sends, that would be great. I also think that tuning the bass along with some of the notes or the chords that were happening might help with some of the notes being out of tune, because I think that some of them could sound cool intentional. I was like kind of vibing with the chords at the beginning, even though they were kind of, I mean, I would say extremely jazzy or very out of tune, one or the other. But it could work if I think it could work even more if the bass notes were kind of following along and had a bit more pizzazz to it.
It's so funny that he's like, it's jazz is always a good excuse for it's like, no, you wouldn't understand. It's some next level music theory here. It's jazz.
Right, right. It was intentional.
It's always intentional. When I was in audio school one time, I had to do an assignment on 2-inch tape, and I had only, a very limited session. And by the time I got the tape machine set up, I realized that I had like wired a lot of things wrong, and it was too late to undo it, and it was just causing a lot of over distortion. So in the end, I was just like, went to my teacher. I was like, I was going for this like garage punk, like, early 90s sort of like rock aesthetic. And I just saw the whole thing like, yeah, totally did it on purpose. So you could always do that. You could double down on that for sure if you really want. But I think try putting it in key. And I think that the flow problems are probably coming from that. So any other feedback for Sam?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Let's move on.
Good on, Sam. Oh, wait, we got next up Soft Eyes, and there's no real comments, so we'll just give our old general good feedback.
Cool.
inside. You pull me apart with your hands. Imply that I am a machine. I'm programmed to take your commands, but I'll never know what they mean.
Whoa. All right. I was not expecting that, Aiden.
That was wild. I was not expecting that either.
Yeah. I was a surprise, especially like the intro did not really prepare me for that at all.
Right.
I think I would have liked a bit more of like a glitchy, like interest, just a teaser, like, because it sort of almost makes you think, like, I know what maybe you're trying to surprise people, but I just think if you're gonna go like ambient drone soundscape, you could really like make it dark and like have some really cool Foley and like do some stuff. And then, I mean, I like the contrast in the sections, and at the same time, I would like to hear a little bit more sophistication in like the metal parts to make it hold up against the EDM parts, because the EDM part sounds really like heavy and nice, and the vocals on the other part and some of the other things are a little bit like, I think they could be finessed a bit more in the mix, especially like the vocal production. What do you think about that, Aiden? I know you do vocals as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say that you might get some help with like taking a listen to other vocal mixes from metal tracks, referencing kind of where the vocal sits in the mix. And then also I think that the vocal itself could use some more reverb, but just to play around with it and kind of to get it fit better with those guitars and with the drums, because everything is blaring. So you just need to find a good space for that vocal to sit, and then it won't kind of seem overbearing.
Yeah, I guess a good point. It was a little bit ear fatiguing from time to time, you think?
I mean, I think that there was like I don't know if you heard it, but the ride cymbal to me, there was some.
Oh yeah, the ride.
The ride was pretty shrill in my opinion.
So sharp. I can't believe I forgot.
Then I think the mix in the dubstep part as well, maybe overall, but most of all in like the dubstep drop, in the rhythm drop, it was just a little bit tinny, some of the synths, and they could either have more body or just be shaved off that high end a little bit. It was just a little bit shrill, a little fatiguing.
Yeah. I think you got to test. Do the whole reference tracks. It's a great idea. Listen to other like production, because it's tricky when you mix like EDM and other genres, because a lot of them have different mix balances, and you kind of have to find like the sweet spot so that it sounds right in both places, you know? But I think it's a crazy idea. I like it.
It's a really cool idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun track.
Definitely one of the biggest surprises already so far. My eyes opened super wide. It says the ride was literally made with serum. So yeah, that's the thing, is like it could use a little bit more like atmosphere to it as well. So I think EQing it and then also like just playing around with some filters or some distortion or just giving it a little bit more character, because I think that's why it's so tinny. It's just like a noise burst type of thing. It needs a little bit more massaging, if you know what I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shiatsu.
Give it some shiatsu. So next up we have jadders again. I still feel like I don't know if it could be like JADR. It could be one of those like no vowels things where you're like, yeah, I'm totally cool. I know what this says. It's
Right.
So please tell me if there's a way to say your name that I haven't figured out. Tried to combine two different drops with this one. Is the transition between the two ideas too harsh? Also might need some mixing it and mastering suggestions. All right. So we have jadders. Okay, that's like 3 ideas. That's not 2 ideas. I don't know. How did you feel about the flow between the ideas? What was your general vibe on that track?
Also another fun track. I feel like it's fun to jam a bunch of ideas together as long as you can like make them flow into each other and make them kind of sound part of one world, married together in some sort of way. Yeah, that jazz, that ending, Moldy Soul just said, is beautiful. The musicality there was great. Cool chords. I thought the second and third drop was very cool. The first drop could have used maybe either a pad in the background or some more reverb on the snare, something to smooth it out and maybe give it a little bit more space to breathe, in my opinion. But I think, I don't know, so maybe you could marry the two sections, like the piano and the guitar sections, with the drops by keeping some of the drums going in the softer sections. You could have some rhythmic material that is borrowed from both sections. I don't know. There's a bunch of ways you could marry them together. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me because I really like the both the jazzy breakdown parts and like the intricate little plucky sort of like Lido-esque stuff with like Telephone Tel Aviv glitchy drums. Like I love so much stuff about that. I kind of want it to be its own track just because I'm in such a vibe and it's so like Jekyll and Hyde. Or like maybe you can do like a two-part or like different versions or something, because I just really love like when you have those glitchy drums and it's all going around my head and it's really beautiful soundscape. So I love that one and I'm biased. And the other part, like it's cool, but it is like I think it blends as well as it could possibly blend for how different the two ideas are. And I don't mind it, but I just love the separate sections so much that I think that they could just be their own tracks. And I think we all do this, right? We start learning to produce, we get better, and like you get so excited that what you're making doesn't suck that you're like, let's do this, and then let's do this, and then let's do this. And then people come over and they're like, where's your new music? And you're like, oh, it's not finished yet. And then you're like sitting on 75 whips with like 300 ideas. And, it's okay to make a couple tracks out of it. And of course, if you're doing it always for you, it doesn't matter. But usually when people get an idea, like too many ideas in one track sort of just spreads out the enjoyment when people actually might want to come back to it. So it's just my opinion again, but I do think as far as like it could flow, it flows really well. And I think that you've made a lot of really interesting, cool sonic choices. So
I think both ideas stand on their own. Like they could work into their own track.
yeah. So I would personally just split it. But yeah, and mixing and mastering suggestions, I don't know. I think the two tracks need a little bit different approaches. Maybe all I would say is like the glitchy part. I almost want to hear tiny bit more super high end air. Like you've got a really good like mid and mid highs, but like some just really like floaty top end stuff to bring out those gorgeous little drum fills. And then the other part, I don't know, it might be like too compressed. It's hard to tell. I'm still in a new listening environment, so I'm sort of avoiding making detailed mix feedback because I haven't like calibrated my new speakers or anything. But again, I just want it to be two ideas, and I think they need different treatments. You know what I mean? I don't know. What do you think about the mix and the master specifically?
I pretty much agree with you. I think that for me, the drops sounded like the harder part of the song. That sounded pretty good to me, mix and master wise. I just think maybe for the softer sections, those could have used some sort of life. But I think adding a couple instruments in there and kind of filling out the rest of the frequency spectrum in those sections will kind of make it sound fuller. To me, it sounded a little bit mild. Yeah.
Mild, yeah. Well, it's a cool idea, and it's worth doing them on their own. I think that's a consensus. So, thanks for submitting. Always love all the music you guys are doing. Appreciate you. This is Feedback and Friends on LBC TV with special guest IDN. Next up, we have Electronic. This is meant to be a closing track for what? An album? A movie? A funeral? I hope not.
Wow.
We'll probably extend it for a set, probably. I hope it's a set. Is it too repetitive? How is the mix? All right.
Okay.
Let's check it out. Okay. Really nice vibes here from Electronic. I'm enjoying this vibe for sure. I think it's a good closing track for sure. I do feel I could use a little bit more ear candy because it is a little bit repetitive, but like if you put vocals on it, that will also change the feedback. Like you were saying, you might put vocals on it. So I would kind of like to know what's happening next. And then I feel like with the Wurlitzer, the keys, there's a little bit of like dissonance that is not my favorite, that is kind of bleeding into the notes. And it just has to do with like the long notes and the tail of them and the voicing kind of all thrown together. And it's just really on the second chord because it goes da, which is fine. And then it goes da. And like two of those notes are sort of kind of bleeding in and they need to be controlled. And there's a lot of ways you can look at that. You can like shorten the decay depending on what you're using. You can kind of like gate a little bit and like note follow and do some stuff to sort of sculpt the envelope, maybe just manually like in between chords so that you can do it invisibly, so you still get that like long sound, but then it like goes down almost like when you lift up a sustain pedal, right? So I would just do that because that's like, it's bugging me a little bit. It's kind of have this build up in the low mids, I would say, but I really like the track. I mean, I think it's cool and just needs like a little bit more detail. And that was the only thing that really stuck out to me with the mix. What about you? How'd you feel about that, Aiden?
That's a great catch. I wouldn't have noticed that, but subconsciously, I think that would have made a really big difference in just the groove of the track and it being a little tighter the whole way. I really liked it. I was having a good time with it. I liked like the percussion changes that you brought in later on. I think it could be cool to kind of build on top of that for your last drop. And then at the middle section where it gets the energy goes down, the little breakdown, I think there could be some sort of switch up in terms of either a new sound coming in to fill out maybe the high end a little bit, or you're changing up the E piano a little bit, the variation on the chords that you're playing. Something at that breakdown I think would like put your audience in a trance rather than it being more of a repetition in the breakdown to get back into the drop. It's more of like, where are we going next? And then you're ending it on that drop again. Otherwise, thought it was really cool. There was like a really wide bass sound that came in right before the last drop that I thought was kind of weird in my headphones, but it could work in a live setting. So I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, it's closing for a DJ mix, so it's cool. I think as well in a DJ mix, if you're doing like long mixes, that's also like, you know, as a tool. If I were releasing it, I would put maybe a little more detail on parts of it, but to mix into a DJ set, if it depends on, I don't know, your mixing style, but I love doing really long mixes. So I could see maybe putting like a high end layer, doing some stems, doing some interesting stuff live over top of it. Like, I don't know, scratching in an acapella or something cool like that. So that might be a cool move. I love DJing. I've been a DJ for a really long time, so I really appreciate like a good old fashioned long juggly mix is tasty. Of course, I'm still looking at my decks right now. You can't see them, they're behind the camera. I have my first decks with me. They're not set up. I should really set them up. I want to like start listening to my vinyl again. So yes, love DJ mixes. Love you guys. Next up we have Lickno Beat. Oh, we got some returning people. Some of these people were on last week, so it's cool. I love when you know, it feels like a family. So I've missed you guys, and it's good to be back. So we have just general feedback request. All right. So Lickno Beat it is.
Copycat, they copycat. It's getting boppy, all these gal, they wanna watch me, then they copycat, they copycat, they copycat. It's getting boppy, all these girls, they wanna watch me, then they copycat, they copycat, they copycat. Why'd you have to copy when they watch, they copycat? They want that sloppy, try to mock me where the bottle's at. I know you got that power flower where the throttle's at. This that proper rap, keep your girlfriend, we're not a man. It's getting boppy, all these gal, they wanna watch me, then they copycat, they copycat, they copycat. It's getting boppy, all these girls, they wanna watch me, then they copycat, they copycat, they copycat. It's getting boppy, all these girls, they wanna watch me, then they copycat.
Oh, that was really dope. I really liked that, and generally, I think the mix was quite good. Definitely, electronic was saying more kick. I think in general, you could try like saturating and warming it up a little bit. And this is nitpicking because it was really clean, right? I didn't, you know what I mean? Like it's crystal clean, but it just, I think it could be fatter now. Is maybe what they're talking about.
Getting a bit more grit back in there, but the mix sounds clean.
Yeah, like super clean. Nothing interfering in that one. But now I want stuff to interfere just in a good way, like warm harmonics. Do you have any other thoughts on this one?
Yeah, even additionally, I think you could take some like creative liberties just for like fill sections or maybe some creative variation in your drums here and there. Just because it almost seemed templatey with the drums, but it could sound very, very cool to match your amazing sounding flute, cool sounding synths. I was digging it.
Yeah, I really liked the flute in there with that style. Like you hear that kind of thing a lot in like trap music, but you don't hear it a lot in that style of house. And I really like it because it's unexpected and it's catchy, but it's original. So very cool. Yeah, not much to say. I mean, I didn't hear anything that was really out of place. It sat really, really nicely. Just heavy it up. What are your favorite like saturation, distortion? What do you like to do to warm up your mixes?
I use a few different ones for bass and like kicks. I've really been liking Decapitator from Sound Toys, is it? I think.
Yeah.
And then I also like this fuzz plugin, Max for Live plugin that I use a lot. And there's another plugin, it's free. It's called Prisma. Shoot, I don't even know the manufacturer, but it is a really great like multi-band distortion, and it's got like 5 different layers of tons of distortions you can pick out. Super cool plugin.
Prisma. I love like new free plugins. I haven't checked this one out.
Let me look up who's it by. Yes. Oh, it's by Unplug Red.
Oh.
Unplug Red.
Unplug Red.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is super weird. This is a SharePoint link. I cannot say I have yet had a SharePoint link. I feel like I'm at work right now. But it looks like it'll work. So artist name is SVTY70, and they love SharePoint. All right. I am a late learner to the music world at the age of 37. Hey, that's not that old, okay? And have been learning for a few years now, but I would be interested to know how I could improve this tune or learn from it. Sending my workout for live scrutiny is the highest of anxiety for me. Hey, you did it. and we are very loving people here. We love when people create. I mean, this is why this channel was started. Like, for those of you who are newer, we had the amazing Matt Black of Cold Cut, co-founder of Ninja Tune, and he's like a pioneering artist, multimedia developer, makes a really cool app called Jam Pro, and he put together this whole thing as a community to support up and coming artists and give people a chance who are doing really interesting and cool stuff. So, I think don't be nervous. Like, this is amazing. I'm sure it'll be great. So
Yeah, this is the purpose. We love that you submitted.
all right, big ups to SVTY70. Is that your license plate? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think you're too hard on yourself. Like, you've got a lot of great things going. You've got a lot of nice spaces that you've created. You're in like the next stage, right? Like what we were just talking about. You make something that doesn't suck, because this doesn't suck at all. And then you go, okay, where do I go from here? And I think now is the time to just really like go wild and start experimenting. Like free plugins we just talked about, get more free plugins, get some weird glitchy ones and see how you can improve. And check your bounces, because there's like a minute of silence at the end of this. That's the only thing I'm going to tease you about. But I think you have a really cute, original idea. It paints a really strong picture. A lot of people were saying they were seeing images. That's great. That is the best response you could have to your music, that it inspires this imagery within people, right? Like, well done. I think, it's just like varying up the timbres a bit, varying up. And somebody said that there's no Dreambells said there's no melodic phrases I can pick out. I think that's a really poignant comment. You have a lot of good like pieces but it seems like they want to center around something, right? You don't necessarily have to have a strong lead instrument, but I always say that like making a good song is like making a movie. Like you have to focus the camera on something. You can't focus on everything all the time. And so maybe you need to tell your audience a little bit where they can focus. You know what I mean? Like, what did you think, Aiden?
I've been muted, but yes, I agree. I agree. The camera focus thing could be very helpful in this case. But ideas are really cute here. I enjoyed this track, and the drums were really fun for the most part. I think, mix wise, everything could use a tiny bit of finesse in like instrument levels, or the drums being just a tiny bit shrill on the top end. You could still maintain like the crispiness and the warmth of the drums for like a nice D&B setting, but not like have the shrillness of like, I don't know, 14K plus. But I don't know. Otherwise, it was a good time. It was a very nice time. The piano sound could be changed up a little bit, and similarly with the other sounds, they could have a little bit more variation over time. But I think Isha said that too. So yeah, just a good time.
Nice. Yes, I totally agree. Good time. Next up, we have Energy. And the feedback is general feedback, direction for flow of track, ideas for changes and beyond. Maybe ways to add spice to the drums. I love spice. There's not enough spice in Denmark. I miss spicy food. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, no worries, Energy. Glad that you tuned back in right when we got to commenting. I'm glad that you're here. Do you want to go first, Aiden, on this one? I have a few ideas, but I would love to hear what you think.
For me, I think like, I don't know. When I was hearing this, I was enjoying this track, but to me, this almost seems like an experience song. So like you take the lessons learned in making something like this and apply it to some kind of new track. I'm not saying I don't like this track. I do like the track. I think it was a nice ride, but I don't think I could pick anything out like well enough for there to be like such a strong impact. I think you could take the ideas that you learn maybe making this one and apply it to some sort of stronger melody or harmony. Not trying to be mean though. I did enjoy it, but that's how I felt.
Yeah, I think in terms of spice on the drums, I have quite a few ideas. One of them, there's this theory of drum programming. I can't remember who it is or what it's called, but it's basically the theory of like only like having a lot of like syncopation and a lot of elements going on, but never more than like one at a time. And sometimes I like to play with that because it can really open up these pockets and these timbral textures. So for instance, you have this like open hat going on like every single beat, and it's just going tss, 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 tss. And I keep paying attention to that when like, okay, like you don't need to have it over the kick. Definitely not every time anyways. Like maybe every like 8 or 16, right? And then you don't have it. So it could be like doom, so try doing that, because I used to always put way too many drums, and I used to be like ridiculous. You know, I was like, oh, I need like 8 snares all layered, and then I need 4 kicks. And like there's so many phasing problems with that too. But sometimes you can just clean things up because it's like sometimes there's the whole ghost notes thing where there can be an empty space and your brain completes the beat, which is really cool and gives more space to your track. And sometimes it just creates more variation, because right now all I'm hearing is that open hat or the ride or whatever it is, and it's very distracting. The other thing that I really picked out was that kind of hollowy resonant mid bass thing in the second half. I did not care for that so much. I think there's a lot of like uncomfortable mid frequencies that are too boomy, but I also think that it kind of disturbed the nice vibe you were creating. So I think I would maybe go back and, like IDN said, like create something memorable, distinctive, maybe a little more like sparkly and high end, and try a more like mellow rolling bass. You know, this is the kind of track that I think would benefit from having a bass that leans super heavy on portamento or glide, so that it would just be like a really deep tone, like a right? And instead of being a pitch, it would just like make the track roll. So that's the things that I would do to make it more memorable personally. But yeah, thank you for submitting. We have also Zuya up next. Say whatever you want. Well, okay.
Oh,
all right.
okay.
Okay, Zuya, what's up? Ah, who needs coffee when you have happy hardcore?
I'm energized.
Yeah? What's your read on
Yes.
that?
I mean, not too much. It was just a wild time. I was just like getting hyped internally. I think Pseudo Zero said this would be like an Osu map. I totally see that for this as well. But I think like if anything, the only note I could give personally is like there was zero breathing room for me, but I could see people enjoying having no breathing room for a song like this. If you're gonna love a song like this,
Yeah, right. Like somebody said else said it was like too fast paced, and it's like, well, if you're into this style,
Right.
that's what you want. Like life is too slow paced for you, probably.
I think so. Yeah, I think for what it's going for, it's doing it really well though.
Yeah, no, it's got good energy. I did think maybe the kick was very clicky, like it clicks really hard, and I think that's good. But when it happens so often, it gets a bit fatiguing. So maybe you could like dial down the clickiness and maybe bring it in strategically every so often. Like I'm not saying like turn it all the way down, but it's just like it happens so much that it's like click, 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 click. So just for like lack of ear fatigue, because you can keep it feeling this hyped and maybe just go in and micro clean stuff, because like I said about other stuff, the faster the music is, the less space in between the beats. So you need to be clever about making space even when you want to occupy every bit of it, you know?
Yeah, faster songs, it needs to be so tight, I feel like, for you to catch every part of it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was fun. I mean, that's all I got to say, Zuya. Like good times, good energy. Everyone, of course, so many good vibes here. Next up, we have Darren, who does not have an artist name. Any feedback is appreciated, not mastered. So last time we gave someone an artist name, it was like Billy Bonkin or something. Okay, not mastered. We'll keep that in mind. Standard producer disclaimer, SPD. All right, Darren. Nice, happy house vibes. I think it plays it a little bit too safe for me, you know? Like, that's all I could say. Like, it doesn't stand out as much as it should. It's a little bit stock music, and that's just doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Like, stock music is usually produced very well, and I'm totally buying the style that this is and like where you're trying to put me, but I want a little bit more. I want something to remember, you know?
Yeah, I was thinking like it's nice, but what's the point of view here? Or what are we supposed to take away besides it being like a beach house track?
Mm-hmm.
I thought like maybe in particular the bass could be a little bit dirtier or something, maybe more varied over time. Um, but yeah, I think overall it's nice, but it needs some sort of point of view. If it's the piano, something should be more obvious about the piano, or the piano should change up a little bit, maybe more notes there. If it's not the piano, maybe you add a lead or some sample, something to kind of grab your ear. But for now, I think it's just nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think just push yourself a little bit harder because it could be good, and I think you have a good sense of how to make a track that sounds like it should. Now make it sound like you, right? So that's the difference. And for not being mastered, it sounded like pretty balanced, like nothing was jutting out at me. So I think yeah, you've got it. Now just push yourself. Next up, I'm very excited to have. Oh wait, I was about to put on Salvati, but we actually have a queue jumper with Rags. I love both of you guys. I'm so happy to have you both here. Big shouts out to Rags, who's been a long time supporter. Let me figure out. I don't know where your submission is though. Where did you send it to me, Rags? I don't see it. Oh, I never mind. I found it. It was just two people submitted after you and they snuck in. So Rags is switching it up and sending hip hop this time. No mixing or technical work yet, but I want to know how the lyrics and flow sit with you. I tried something different in challenging myself to create an inception of double and triple entendre bars for the whole track.
Ooh.
Triple entendre. That sounds very intriguing. All right, let me use the internet properly. Boomer, boomer, boomer. There we go. Let's check it out.
Happy County triple doubles, you gon' have to be quicker than that. Space suit, this is not a fit. Resume don't account for the stats. Atlanta too close, too thin, no bridge. I'm feeling the gap. RP Tommy, Army Rangers go green. Got with Dillinger hat. Still on the track, I ain't gon' shop, but just noticing. Still on my chop, but you noticing. Read between the lines, not the frets. Made a mess of the situation, this was not a threat. Blackbirds, black mass, he won't get brought back. Crosswords, crossover, crossfit, crosswalk, still got it. F, big respect, all log out, it's all left, server balls out. How about you bow out, wind down, his F round, made him find out. I gotta do the most for the heck of it, stomp on your homie like elephants. Now he walk around with half his intelligence. Street credit more, I stomp on his references. Hold up. Get a beating like retaliation from a heathen. I was underwater breathing, doing yoga, 7 Polynesians that gave me the sauce. I've been the boss, running the track. I be like, look out. So what if they hated to shake him with some I already booked out? Yeah.
Whoa. Sorry about the credit being all off. I was my thing just froze on me, but that was Rags. That was Rags, aka Kalina Blue. What do you think about the flow? I thought it was really cool. Like I heard all those. I obviously the mixing and mastering needs. We know it's not on yet, but I do like the flow a lot. What do you think? I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I like the flow too. I think the first 4 lines could have had a flow where it was easier to catch with the beat. But besides those first 4 lines, I thought everything sounded really nice. I heard those like internal rhymes coming through, so that was nice too. It was hard to pick up every line, so I can't really speak to all the lyrics on one listen through, but there was a lot in there, and some good wordplay of using like the same word in a different context. I heard that a couple times. Track itself was nice too. Yeah, the beat was nice.
Yeah, I would love for you to give us a little up close of maybe like just a couple of the verses here and there. Like feel free to post them in the chat.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to catch it the first time through. I always love going on like Genius and seeing lyrics because I always figure out something I don't know from all kinds of tracks. But definitely, I think you're a good rapper, and I would people always say people hate their own voices, so people are saying the vocals are getting drowned out. I think you just also do the same thing that most of us do. It's like you push them down because you're like, my voice in my headphones for like the 11th hour in a row. I can't stand it. But I think pushing it forward, and you have that really cool whispery style. So one thing that I sometimes do to make that super clear while still keeping that witchy thing is actually like treating it like drums in a way and doing this like parallel or New York style compression. So you could do like a parallel chain of like the whispery high end parts of your voice and put some distortion on it, like in very like, like maybe like Fresh Air from Slight Digital, free plugin as well. Instead of talking about plugin of the week, we're just going to drop like free plugin names. So we've had Prisma and we have Fresh Air, which is just a nice like high end. So you take one layer and you super compress it with that high end and you mix it in with the normal one. So you just get a little hint of that like compressed punchy thing, and it comes through and the lyrics are like really, really present. But yeah, you're super talented. I really love your stuff, and it's so great. It's always an honor to have you on the stream. So yeah, any other comments on that?
No, all set there. Thanks, Rags, for submitting in. It was good.
Thank you, Rags. We love you. Next up, we have Salvati, which I'm also very excited. Salvati is one of our regulars, and they always have amazing, interesting, innovative stuff. So the feedback comments, gonna put vocals on this soon. I recently realized that I didn't need to be at my big desktop to make things, laptop mode. Hey, look, you can make anything on anything, especially these days. Kids these days are very spoiled. You can make music on your phone. And we had to like walk uphill both ways in the snow to make tracks.
I've been making beats with Ableton Note recently.
Really?
Super easy. Yeah.
I haven't actually really tried it, but it's easy?
It's super easy. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Intuitive.
Nice. Ableton Note. I might check it out. Whoa, whoa, SoundCloud, stop. That was a lot of ideas as well. You're always like overflowing. I definitely enjoy listening to you explore. Aiden, this is like, I think the experimental. I've heard you do some crazy stuff too. Like, what do you think about the way that this all came together?
Yeah, very, very creative. I'm really liking the choices, like the intentional choices of preset hunting in the middle of the breakdown, or I know that it's a bold choice and it might be like jarring a lot of those sounds next to each other, but I think altogether it has an identity. I think maybe there could be some way to marry the first part of where the drums come in and the last more bassy part of where the drums come in. Um, but only slightly, because I think that the way that that arpeggio always shifts and changes throughout the entire track, that's like a good rope to hold on to as you're like being trudged through this crazy mud pit of creative choices. But yeah, I really enjoyed the ride. It was fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have a lot of talent, and I like that you take so many risks. I do question. You say you're going to put vocals on it. I feel like they.
Yeah.
Where are they going to go?
Where? I don't think it needs it.
Yeah, it's quite.
I think it's fun enough to listen to those like sound font choices and all the other things you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. You got a lot going on. I would say if you're going to do vocals, they should either just be little samples, or you need to clear some room for them, because like my focus is everywhere, and you have a lot of good ideas. So. Yeah, we love you, Salvati. It's good to see you and see where you're at. It's always good to keep track of everyone. And next up, we have Annie. This is my latest release. Wanted to make a dark theme music of any genre. A detailed breakdown of where to improve would be good. Would mean a lot. Why, Aiden, what dost thee think of thy track in front of thee?
Milady Alicia, mine words are not of this, is what I think. Oh, what do you think the intention is with this track?
I don't know. I mean, I will say that like it was some cool ideas and melodic explorations, but that switch up right at the beginning, I was like, wait, was that a different scene in the movie? Like it was very
Right.
abrupt.
I feel like this is a score.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It seems more like a score, but it's cool. I mean, if the intention was just to play around, like keep going, you know? You had some really nice moods, but it definitely, yeah, it was more score-ish to me.
Yeah. The melody ideas are there though. I think I was enjoying sonically what's happening. It's just, I guess, the mix obviously needs to just be a little bit finessed and looked at with instrument levels. But there's a lot of places you could take this track. If it is just meant to be an instrumental string, like orchestral thing, it could sound good that way too. Maybe film a short film. You got your track already.
Yeah, Rubber says maybe some note humanization. Yeah, that's a good idea. If you're trying to do orchestral, there's a couple of things that will make stuff better. And one of them is that, like, if you're not actually going to play everything in, find some plugins that will distribute the notes a little bit. And also, of course, there's better samples. I mean, that's just like a money thing. But if you get those really like intense contact libraries where there's multi samples and you can do different articulations, you can get some really realistic, deep stuff. But I mean, it has a good energy, and I would love to see like a visual done to this. Like maybe make a video of like if you have ideas, if you have pictures in your head, you know, hey, we have AI now. You can probably just like prompt it to make a video for you, right? So
Probably.
why not
Yeah.
just do something like that? So cool. Thanks for submitting again. We have a lot of repeats from last week, actually. Next up is Dream Bells, who says that they have fixed the mix from last week, which was something that was like super distorted. I remember this track where they were like, don't mind the distortion. And then we're all like, like we can't help it. It's so much. So I think I fixed the clipping, did some mixing changes. The distortion is still intended to be over the top, though. Not so much for too long. Does any part sound contrived or cheesy? All right. Big up Audius Link, of course. Yes. Oh, Aiden, how do you feel about that?
I do love the distortion of that, actually. I think a lot of that sounds great. Maybe just like in the intro, the guitar was still a tiny bit shrill to me, just because maybe haven't listened to like the rest of the track. It could be sort of an opener, something to get you acclimated to the distortion of the rest of the track. The drums I thought were really nice. I thought maybe if anything, the snare could have a bit more like mid presence to it. Not necessary, but it could have a little bit more punch there. And then last little thing, I thought the last drop could have something to bring the energy up, maybe in the drums or maybe like a high frequency synth line or something. I know there was like a synth in the last half of the drop, but it could be cool for the entire last drop to have some sort of energy, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I still think like I like that you went in and did this like fully distorted like next door punk rock show vibe in the breakdown. But I think like Moldy Soul said, having a clean sound for contrast and also just like something that pulls it together with the rest of the sound. So like maybe like some crispy foley's, something sweeping in, something to transition between them, and something that just like holds the whole track together. Because yeah, you still want it to kind of sound good and just give the illusion that it's like totally blown out. And I think you're a lot closer than you were last week for sure. But I think this is a really cool track, so I think it's worth spending the time on, you know. That's how I feel about that. Yeah. So, next up, thank you for the donation, Visionary. That gets you a Q skip. So, Visionary, another fam from Discord. Is Discord really down right now? I noticed it wasn't moving. I didn't realize it was down. But yeah, you can always talk to us on both. Right now, I guess it's just Twitch. Visionary says, this is a 1-year-old whip. Vocals are a friend from work. Mix still needs a lot of work, so feedback on it isn't too important. But if there are any issues that stand out, feel free to let me know. Also wondering if I should get rid of the bit before the first build-up and before the first drop. Maybe it's a bit out of place and ruins the energy. Other than that, any general feedback? Here's 10 specific things. Also, whatever. We love you, Visionary. All right, Google Drive. Hopefully it doesn't make me download it. I kind of... oh, there we go. Looks like we're good. All right. Damn. Woo.
Oh, wow, it ended like that.
It's a whip. I mean, Visionary always sends these whips, so I'm sure there'll be like a little more. But yeah, that was very like elegantly executed. I didn't think nothing stood out to me as too much. Like it was vibe, super.
Yeah, I've loved that. That was great. I mean, the one thing I was like hesitant on was like the beginning of the first drop took like a bar or two to get settled, but I almost think that obviously it's an intentional choice. So I think it's kind of cool. And
Yeah.
it hit real hard. Bass
Yeah.
was super solid.
So solid. I mean, as Rubber says, it was jarring in a pleasant way. It's a very paradoxical statement, but that is pretty on point. I would agree with that because there was even like there was some dissonance there where stuff seemed in a different key, but in a way that worked. So like we talked about dissonance earlier, and it's like when you have all this distortion and these atonal elements, you can really make it work for you. It's really only when you have a lot of super melodic stuff that you have to be conscious of it more. But this is a really good example, I think, of it working. So I would just say finish it, make an ending, make a little more. Like all those little edits with the vocals are so cool.
So sick.
Really,
Yeah.
really neat. So big ups, Visionary. Next up we have Jinzu. I've already dropped this song recently. Okay, well you better not have copyright strikes on it. You're gonna get our stream muted.
Uh-oh.
But it's a SoundCloud link, so we don't know. Thinking of going
Okay.
back and reworking it. And any tips or ideas I can implement to make it sound less boring? All right, well, let's check it out, Jinzu.
Anybody but myself. 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 Anybody but anybody but myself. Anybody but myself. Anybody but myself. Anybody but myself. Anyone else? I do it low key. I ain't worried about you, I do my own shit. I'ma keep doing me to earn it. To earn it. I don't got a problem, I can stitch my own rep. My own rep. Until I wish and I said what I care about. Running through names in my list and I scratch them out. You twist it, I like where I'm at now.
That is not boring. You're weighing way too hard on yourself. Did you do the vocals? I want to know more about your story, Jinzu. The one and only thing I really was wanting to hear that I didn't hear was like in the second part. I really just started hearing this like high arpeggio going in double time, and maybe like some kind of element, like in the body but my or something that just takes up this like running space that gives you like an ascension into the next part because it's a beautiful vibe. I don't know, and how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Jinzu is one of my good friends, so I'm happy he submitted today. But yeah, I thought vocal processing is awesome. It sounds like buried, but it's present and it's airy. And I think it works with the track. Melodies were all lovely. All the vocal melodies I really liked. The little distorted like guitar slash vocal solo thing going on in the back, I think is a really nice texture. I think there you could have some change up over time in either the melody of that or in the timbre of that, either making that more distorted or washed out, or doing some frequency formant shifting with it. That could be kind of cool to bring the energy up, kind of give you a more lifted feeling by the end of the track. But I agree, some more ear candy, just like Eggy Toast said. Or you could triple the BPM, make it happy hardcore.
Make it happy
Just
hardcore. You can
totally
always
change up the track.
You can always do that. It could always be happy hardcore. Yeah, but no, I really like it. So now, and I really love all the different styles we've heard today, by the way. We've had metal, we've had medieval classical score, we've had this kind of like chill R&B, we've had happy hardcore.
Absolutely.
Wow, this is quite a variety. So next up we have Pseudo. Feedback, they just said anything. So, all right, nice. Pseudo, let's go.
Round one. Round two. Final round. Finish him.
Whoa. All right, just in time for all the Halloween DJ sets coming up. There was a weird moment where it seemed like it dropped out and then didn't come back in time, like in the middle. Just like
On round 3.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. It just was like, it sounded a little bit off. Like you missed a couple and it didn't sound intentional. So I would just maybe tweak that. But I mean, yeah, it could use a little bit more like that lead melody for me, like someone said in the chat, is not like interesting enough to just keep going the way it is. So you could like try some timbral changes or maybe some voicing changes. But I mean, this would be fun to play at a party, a DJ set. So I don't know if that was your intention, but yeah.
I feel like it could even go harder with the freakiness of it and the Halloweeniness. Like the laugh is great, but it sounds like you could just press a sample and play that laugh in sporadically throughout the track, whereas you could be a little bit more, I think, intentional with it and maybe do vocal chops here and there, sequence the vocals to maybe follow the main synth, the lead synth that you have. But I think the Mortal Kombat sounds were great. Keep those in, accentuate those. I think you could just, yeah, get freakier a little bit. Lean into the Halloween of it, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. You could definitely cut up those samples and do funny things with them and like just yeah, go harder. Like for that kind of track, you can't be too over the top in a way. You could always make it happy hardcore. Maybe we should just
That's true.
every single track for the rest of the show. We could
The last note will be, well, you could also just make it happy hardcore if you want.
Oh my gosh. Thanks, Pseudo. Next up, I have to apologize to Elf Doll. There was weird futs. Usually I have Natty kind of keeping track of the queue, but it's a lot of things. It's a good thing. Good thing for ADHD. That's how I keep track with the 17 flashy screens and graphics and stuff. But we have Elf Doll up next, and they are wondering a couple things about their track. One of which was, should I keep the vocals or not? I guess there was only one thing. Well, maybe RIP acapella. I don't know, honestly. Well, if you feel ambivalent about it, that's also something to look at. Like if it doesn't excite you, it may not excite other people. But let's see. Let's see.
3 people suspected of distributing fentanyl across the West Valley. Investigators seized nearly 35,000 fentanyl pills from several homes, more than $300,000 in cash, and a number of guns and vehicles.
All right, Aiden. Interested to hear your thoughts on where that could go.
That's nice. Was there any specific feedback they
Just
wanted?
about the whether they keep the vocals or not. And I think, I mean, if unless you could add vocals, you could add like a lead vocal. But I think that
Oh, yeah.
right now you need those because there's not a lot of variation going on otherwise.
Yeah, I say keep those little tiny like gang vocals in the back or something, the chants. Those sound good with the hi-hat sort of thing, in my opinion. I just think if you had like 2 to 3 more very subtle atmospheric layers in the background, kind of supporting the main melody line, I think it would open up the whole kind of dimension of the track. The drums are pretty, like same throughout the track, but I think like the different layers give it a nice texture. Just controlling maybe the kick and the bass clipping is slightly unsatisfying for me. I think you could still get the grit from those without the like kind of uncomfortableness of the clip. It kind of takes away from the other instruments. But other than that, I think it's like a very nice vibe for like a trap beat. It just maybe needs a couple more subtle atmospheric things to totally lose yourself in.
Yeah, I agree. I think the repetitiveness would be okay with a little bit more stuff like that, like even more stuff, not necessarily more background vocals, but more little, I don't know, textures of atmospheres, like you said. a nature, just something that slowly, subtly varies it throughout the track. And you could drop like a full acapella over it, or you could do like a vocal edit. Since we're talking about DJ sets, I mean, you also could just make it happy hardcore.
You could if you want. You could do that too if you wanted to.
Shouts out
great.
to Blue Prince, our next Q jumper. It says that maybe it's going to be their next release. Exciting. Thank you for sharing.
Cool.
And thank you for the
Yes.
donation. And let's check it out.
Every morning I get lost in your eyes. I'll take you for a ride. Please don't deny. 'Cause I want your body all over my body now. 'Cause I want your body all over my body now. 'Cause I want your body all over my body now. Come baby, let me feel. Show me something
Wow, that was nice. I wanted it to go on for like way longer. I wanted a whole
Yeah.
another round, another one. Sorry, we were making some DJ Khaled jokes the other day. I'm still on that. Yeah, I really like that, and I like the vocals, and I agree with Dreambells. It needs some mastering before releasing. And I personally would love to hear just a little bit more, like another minute. I don't know. What do you think, Aiden?
Yeah, I would love that too. That was so serene. I mean, I think overall maybe the track could use a tiny bit more room, just like a hair of space of punch from the drums. The drums could use a tiny bit more reverb in like a very, very subtle room kind of way. I think it would just match how flowy your melodies are and that beautiful harp. It's so serene. I feel like I'm in like an angel is playing me this track on the way to heaven.
Yeah, someone said like lounging in a rose-tinted garden. I like that visual.
Yeah.
So really, really, really nice stuff. Definitely release it. Just give me more, please. I would almost like to hear your voice because it's so delicate in like an ambient breakdown of you just kind of like whisper singing like super close and then just having not much else going on, just like air and space and just it's really lovely. So that's what I would do before.
Great
releasing
track.
it. Great track. Speaking of great tracks, we have XE Fusion up next, and apparently this is sent in the demo version half a year ago. Redid the mix master. Does it sound good enough for a release? If not, what to fix? All right, let's check it out. that is, wow. That was such a journey. I gotta let this play out. Wow. Definitely
Wow.
release that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. It was classic and it was beautiful. And any thoughts other than that? I didn't.
I mean, it was great. I think maybe like my only note, it's pretty minor, but and only if you want to, you could turn it into a happy hardcore track.
Yes.
You could.
Yeah, and XE Fusion says it's missing vocals. Yeah, I kind of was thinking it would be really nice to have some vocals, but then I was also like, this track is really good. I don't want the vocal to take the attention away either. But I think, yeah, maybe just in the middle part would be cool. It would be a nice change up.
It could.
But
That massive mega synth just really took over the brain though in the second half. So that kudos for that whole section.
yeah, that was definitely a massive mega synth, and it just made me like it feel like I was right at that like euphoric festival moment. So
Yeah.
awesome track as always, XE Fusion. I think you should release all the things. Next up, Shipwreck Paradise. Does anything stand out to you that needs work? Vocal mixing, song structure, creativity. Oh, come on. We're not going to comment on creativity. You're all creative. This is why you're here. You're making stuff. You're sharing it. Super creative. But I mean, we can comment on some of the other stuff. So let's check it out. Shipwreck Paradise.
It's in the way your lips shake when you say my name. It's how you stay when I break and go up in flames. Coming closer, let me show my feelings for you. Time stands still, my heart is only beating for you. I won't stop loving you, loving like it's my job. Nothing you ever do will make me pull away. You're always in my veins, don't stop. You got my green light. I won't stop loving you, loving like it's my job. Nothing you ever do will make me pull away. You're always in my veins, don't stop. You got my green light. You're the calm when I'm a storm detonating bombs. I'm in your palms. It keeps me warm. You right on my lungs. Coming closer, let me show my feelings for you.
want that second part to come way sooner. That was such a nice twist, and the harmonics got so advanced, and like it took too long to get there. I wanted it to get there sooner. That's my only thing. But at the same time, you also have a great vocal, and it's mixed like really well. Like the vocal mixing, I actually for a second I thought it was just an a cappella. The only thing for me is with the snare, it was a little thin. And you can, I like that high end stuff, but I really wanted to hear some kind of like a rim kind of tight thing with a little bit of meat. And that would have just like held the track down a little bit more. But like the bass design and all that, like last part, that was exquisite. That's the word that comes to mind for me. What did you think, Aiden?
A word came to mind for me was gorgeous for those parts, but exquisite works too. It was like so Renaissance. I agree with you with the snare. I think the only thing with this track maybe is with like the rhythmic parts of the drums, just not maybe snapping and hitting as hard as it could to get you maybe into the groove of it more, because sonically it's so gorgeous. I thought the vocals were processed amazingly too. I don't know. For me, they were a tiny bit harsh on the top end, because maybe that's why it sounded like an a cappella or something. It sounded like aliased maybe, but that was, yeah. And then I want to ask as well if you would tell us who did the vocals, because they are very pretty. And another recommendation is just to lean into that gorgeousness that you're doing in the second drop, to maybe pull some of those chords that you have over there into that first drop here and there sporadically, just to like tease us of what's to come.
Yeah.
I think you did it a little bit, but just a little bit more would be amazing. Giving it all to us is beautiful.
Yeah, good, Joe. Good point. But yeah, creativity on the max. I mean, that was
For sure.
really, really great.
Yeah, super creative.
Nice. Next up, we have another Fam Bam Alam Eggy Toast. Notes in the audience link. Any feedback, welcome as always. All right, let's check out that link and see what the notes say. Notes. After the last feedback and friends, I realized the tracks I'd submitted tended to be more quiet and mellow. I wanted to challenge myself with something that hit harder and with more grit. Let's go.
Cool. Nice.
This one has a lot of potential. The beginning reminded me of like almost like OTech and like all this like IDM, and there was like some stuff in the 2000s that where people started experimenting with these like kind of off syncopation drum programming thing, and it's cool. I think playing playing with like I don't yep maybe give you I'm gonna collect my thoughts on this because there's a lot of things I think that would make this better.
Yeah, I thought I'm thinking the same wavelength as you right now. It's like I really appreciate the syncopation of the drums. I mean, I assume it's intentional, and I don't know. I think it works in like some ways, but I don't want to be like the whole song trying to figure out like the pulse or the rhythm. I feel like there may be one or two drum instruments that are more static. I know that you had the hi hat that was pretty static throughout the whole track in the background, but the whole time I don't know, either the kick or the snare maybe needs to be a little bit more on more, because I have fun like trying to figure out the rhythm of this type of trap since the background is so atmospheric and trancy, but I don't want to feel like I'm trying to figure it out the whole song. I want to like play with the rhythm that you're giving me, and you're changing it up here and there. I don't know. That's where I'm at right now. It is a little interesting to think about this one.
Yeah, I think like the sounds could definitely just be massaged first. Like the mixing definitely needs work all around, but I think that the individual sounds themselves just need some cleaning up. Just go in and like micro scrub all the like clashing little frequencies, and then once you've done that, try and create more variation over the course of your track in those, whether you filter them or just do little edits or something. And then with the drums, I think you're right, Iden. I think there needs to be more of a frame of stability, because like you got to tell people like where to focus, and right now, yeah, it's hard to focus on those drums, I think. But I think it's cool, yeah, to hear something a little bit more like experimental. Just keep doing it, because
Totally.
you have like a good drum kind of aesthetic going on as well. You just need to shape it and refine it. So keep going. Oh,
Yes.
yes, always. Oh, and also, you could always make it happy hardcore.
I forgot to mention for the last track, by the way, but that one could also be happy hardcore.
Really, it's amazing how many things could be happy hardcore. Next up, we have Sunny Skies, who's also a favorite, and they put slash Tristan. I love the name Tristan. I didn't know your name was Tristan. I think it's a really cool name. I used to be into like Celtic mythology, and I always liked that name a lot. So well done with your name, Tristan. So Tristan hasn't spent much time on this. Mentioned last week that wanted to mess with polyrhythms in a house song. I'd love some ideas. I decided to take inspiration from Goodbye to a World by Peter Robeson. You can see the inspiration. Lol. I'm laughing out loud right now. Let's check it out. Sunny Skies. That was very abrupt. Yeah, I think that's a cool idea. I would just keep going on it. I mean, I think it's still in its early stages, but very cool concept. Yeah. I would just keep going and experimenting with like maybe some more like higher like clav cowbelly percussion, like having that layer come in to give contrast to all the mid and the mellow synths. That's maybe where I would try going next, and then you can have even more polyrhythms. Um, polyrhythm happy hardcore. Oh my god, what would that sound like? Oh wow. I think because there was only two of us, we were so efficient. We got through very fast, and there's like one left that's a Playboy Cardi and Lil Uzi Vert remix. So I'm a little hesitant to play it, and I'm wondering, Mikal the Goat. I feel bad. If you're still around, you might have waited to hear. But do you have something else? Because I just don't like to get strikes, copyright strikes, and thanks to things like Shazam, it's pretty easy to get those. Aiden, do you have something new that I can play that people can check out? And in the meantime, if anyone else wants to submit, we have a little bit of space because we went faster. I mean, I might also go early and go to sleep in dark, dark Denmark, but I would love to hear something. Oh gosh, I have something new, but it's coming out on Monster Cat, so I don't know if they would be really mad if I shared it. But it's a collab with Mr. Bill and Underbelly, so I guess I'm just gonna tease. I'm just gonna tease it. It's gonna come out pretty soon. And I am working on some new weird projects here, but I have like a crazy job where I make sounds for toys now. So that's fun. I'm really enjoying that, but it's hard to find time to make music. I'm just really grateful that I found time to do streams again. Looks like we have another submission. Nice. Solution. Although I've been a musician on and off for a long time, I'm super new to production, looking for any feedback, but mostly related to the mix. First submission, there's very little local scenes, so it's been tough to get any thoughts on the stuff I'm making. Thanks. Solution, good to have you with us. Where are you from? You know, the nice thing is that local doesn't matter as much as it did. I mean, you can have these great international communities like the EDM production Discord or the electronic music production and performance Discord. We tried to rename it EDM Sticks. For anyone who doesn't know, it's not really because we're all about EDM. Quite to the contrary. If you've been listening to the show, you probably have heard classical, metal, R&B, lounge. Like we play everything. We love music that is just made with cool electronic methods mostly, but we still will play an acoustic song. Like we just love music. Saskatchewan, big ups. I'm from Vancouver. Taking her out for a rip. Saskatchewan, I love Saskatchewan. Wow, I have, because being from Canada, there's only so many places to tour, and you have to drive like 12 hours to get to another place that you can play. So I've done some tours where Saskatchewan, like I would play Winnipeg, play Calgary, and Saskatchewan was in between the place. I've played in Saskatoon. Saskatoon berry is delicious. It's one of my favorite berries. If you ever get a chance to try Saskatoon berries, they are damn good. It's like a really delicious blueberry, I guess. That's the best way. I don't know. Maybe Lord Aries can, aka Solution, can describe better than me what a Saskatoon berry. But big ups to Canadians. Love to hear that, and thank you for submitting your track. Let's check it out. All right. So yeah, thank you for that submission. And I think I really like some of the melodies in that like lead synth that you have going on. I just think, just keep making tracks if you're new to production. One thing I would say is bring your drums forward a bit. Your lead is sort of taken over. What do you think, Aiden?
Yes, I agree with that. The drums are a little bit low, but your sounds are pretty good. Your melodies are pretty tight. This is like a good foundation that you could keep adding in the second half, keep adding new instruments. I like the rolling bass, just like Six Sided said. Also, I think that your drums could use like one more top end layer, like some sort of hat layer or percussion layer in a fixed position somewhere on the pan spectrum. Because I like the pan shakers, but if you had something more fixed, I think it would kind of groove the whole track along more and get you tightened with that bass a little bit more too.
Yeah, but it's got a vibe to it. Like you can tell
Totally.
that you're into this music, that you listen to it, that you know it. So I mean, I think it's for just being new to production, it sounds pretty like clean and full, and I don't really have anything too crazy to say about it because you're on your way, and at this point you just gotta keep making more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So cool. All right. So next up, we actually have Six Sided sliding in, and then unless anyone else is out there, this is an opportunity to come up real fast in the queue. But other than that, I'm going to play Aiden's track. So let's check out Six Sided, and they are saying this is very experimental. How can I learn from the mixing issues in this track and apply it to new tracks I make in a similar style? Oh, look at that timing. I'm like a radio DJ.
Wow.
So that's Six Sided. Let's check it out.
Cool.
I mean,
What a badass ending.
that was breathtaking. Like
That was awesome.
that orchestration. I mean, is that like, did you compose that? Was it I love like chord progressions and movements, and like I love the dynamicness. I think really like you've got like if you look at the wave file in the browser, you can see how much dynamic range there is. It is like a classic orchestra. I think to make it an EDM track, you do have to meet halfway the insane compression. Like you definitely don't want to hard compress the whole track because that would take all that great orchestral tension out of it. But you do need to come back. And one of the things like people sometimes don't think about is like you can actually just automate a utility sometimes manually if just for like or like a region in Ableton, like just gain it a bit more rather than compressing it more. You can do things like that sometimes. And just, it was composed. You're
Wow.
insane. That's amazing.
What a track.
Yeah. You should be like doing video games and films and stuff. It's really, really neat. They were talking
real.
about feedback on how can I learn from the mixing issues. I think, again, warmth. It is a little bit hollow. And sometimes if your track sounds hollow on big speakers, there might be some like phase issues going on throughout your track. There's a lot of like hidden culprits to this. Sometimes if you use EQs with really steep cues, like on the low, you can create these like resonant weird pockets, and then it can get this like blurriness when you play it on big speakers. I've definitely had that happen. But I think the track is like majestic, and I want you to just go and fix the mix a little bit, because some warmth and some control over the dynamics a little bit, like this was spine chilling. I don't know, every word that I know for describing something good is just being pulled out of the voice box.
Yeah. It seems that way. It's a really endearing, like really compelling track, start to finish. I think the one thing that kind of stood out to me was the mix of the drums, but I know that we're going for like an acoustic drum here. I think maybe the drums and the bass together then, in those drop sections, that's where that warmth is like missing most. To just like kind of, you want to like feel the pit of these chords and these like massive orchestral moments. But yeah, dynamics were awesome. I think I agree with ill-esha. Just leveling those out a little bit would make it a bit more easy, palatable of a listen. But I love the experimental nature of it. The two contrasts work really great together because you have so much harmonic content from borrowing from each section. It's great. I liked it.
I want to like keep listening to it. I'm going to stash this link, listen to it again after the show. Honestly, I love cinematic stuff. I love composing, and that just like hit all the feels. Well, that was an epic. This is an epic last part of the show. I'm feeling like emotional. I'm feeling stirred, and now we get to listen to an IDN track. Tell us a little bit about this track.
Okay, sure. This track is one of 14 that is going to be on an instrumental album, and that is going to be coming out probably within a month, max 2 months. I'm finishing it up within the next week or two. So, yeah, this track is all done. So, I mean, I would love feedback, of course. I could always change it, but yeah, I just wanted to show off what I've been working on.
Amazing. Can't wait. This is IDN Celestial on Feedback and Friends with special guest IDN. And my name is ill-esha. It's been great to have you all. This is our closer track. Ooh, cool. Really, really cool. Yeah, it's really nice vibe. You always do something new, you know. Every time I think I know what your sound is, you always drop something fresh. So it's fun hearing you play. And I like this like classic drum and bass sound or jungle even. Like it reminds me of like 1996 like Goldie and like Metalheads and all that stuff. And I don't know if you like listen to that stuff, but it
Yeah, I
just
do. Yeah,
yeah.
super inspired by all the 90s drum and bass, techno, all that stuff.
Oh man, I have such a collection of jungle. Like I got rid of a lot of my records when I left Vancouver because records are heavy and a lot of stuff has been digitized too. So all my like drum and bass weekly white labels are pretty much gone, but I still have all the classic jungle and the 10-inch records and that like that brought that vibe back for me of all those things that I love. So
Nice.
yeah,
Thank you.
I almost think just to like you could keep you have that great vintage sound, but you could still tiny very just subtly modernize the drums a little bit so that they punch just a little bit more. I felt like I wanted to hear very subtle like more rhythmic side chaining so that it bounced a little bit. And that's just like a modern take on it because you know I love the vintage sound and at the same time I think like if we stepped it up with like what we have now because it sounds like it was made in that time when you had like crazy like samplers with 8 megabytes of memory and you record the thing and then you got to just like record it out so that you have space for the next sample and it's dope. I love it. I just think like why not like twist it and add a little bit of like sharper cleaner just mix it in a little bit not so it takes over but just so it subtly like lifts you up and down, you know.
Yeah, I feel that. I totally Rubber Dat Flubber, old Need for Speed soundtrack vibes. That's an inspiration too. I think there's a whole mix of retro inspired instrumentals on the project and also like modernized takes on those kind of retro vibes.
Interesting. I'd
So
love to hear more and hear it like in context, some
yeah,
newer stuff.
I'll definitely keep submitting whenever these go on. I'll submit one until it releases.
Amazing, amazing. Well, it's been an awesome night, and definitely some of the greatest diversity of music I think we've had. So, thank you for joining me so much, Aiden. Do you have anything coming up you want people to know about? Anything you want to tell them?
Yeah, it was super fun. Thank you for having me, Alicia. It's always a great time here. You can, if anyone wants to, you can find all my info at idn.world. That's it. That's the website. I also stream on Twitch. I'm going live tomorrow, probably around noonish to early afternoon Pacific time. So if you want to catch me making some music then, you can do that. But otherwise, keep making music. Loved all the submissions. And thank you for having me again.
All right. And thank you, and have a very amazing night. This is ILBC, and we are out. Good night.